Demi in New York had a humongous.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kind for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. I mean, it's a great day for progressives. It actually proves what Mandani did in New York. Proved that, guess what, folks? If you do it right, right will be done unto you. And I don't know if many see the significance of what has occurred in New York. For people who say, New York is a liberal city. Let's remember that New York elected Republican mayors. Let's also remember that New York elected uh, Republican governors. So it's not ever a foregone conclusion that because this occurred in New York, it isn't something that is reflexive or can be replicated around the country. As you see with our protest here in Kingwood, something that went completely in a form that we didn't expect, just like nobody expected. I predicted it, I must say, but most didn't think Mandani stood a chance of beating Cuomo. It shows a resilience not only in the Democratic voter, not the Democratic Party, but the Democratic voter, the independent voter, who doesn't believe in trying their best to not replicate the thuggery or putting the thuggery into power. Kudos to the New Yorkers. Kudos, kudos, kudos. Welcome aboard. In the house today, numero uno was Yvette Avery Herod. How you doing, Yvette? Great to have you here. We enjoyed listening to your interview yesterday. AVQ from Brooklyn, New York is in the house. Michael Rudnin. We also have in the house Jacqueline Campisi, our teacher from Katy, Texas. Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. Joanne from Los Angeles, California. Lee Grant from Montgomery County. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. We also have in the house D. Lee Smith, Michael Wingington, Lucas Terranova, John King. My humble opinion. I love that. John King, my humble opinion. We got For a Better World. Welcome aboard. For a Better World says, please call the Senate to say no to the big ugly bill now. This is a message from our listener For a Better World. He says, the vote is this week. Call 202-224-3121. Again, that number, and let me put it in the other chat. I'm going to put your entire message in the other chat as well, sir. This is from For a Better World. I'm going to put it in the other chat. For a Better World, and this is For a Better World's message. Please go ahead and remember, call that number. No cuts to Medicaid. In fact, we need to tank the bill. We need to tank the bill. How will pro-Palestine progressive socialist Mamdani go over in heavily Jewish New York City? I'm glad you asked that, Lee Grant. Very good question. Well, you see, the Jewish people in New York, a lot of them, a large percentage of them, don't buy into the false rhetoric and the false anti-Semitism and the false, all these things that they try to put against progressives. They looked at the guy and they said, these people are full of it. And he has a huge Jewish support. Again, Mandami, a Muslim, a democratic socialist, has a very large Jewish support, as he should, because the policies that he supports are for everybody. Welcome aboard, Janice Arcol, Lisa, Katinka Lingroth. Welcome aboard as well. So as you see, the thing about it is, he did what we talk about a lot of times. Be present, be everywhere. Show the people you really care. Show the people you really want it, and show the people you understand their dire straits. You understand their dilemma. You understand their problems. All of us claim to do so, but rarely, look at the silly things that are going to come up now. This is what they're starting to feed. Oh, he believes in Antifada, in the Antifada. Oh, really now? Now you look at this guy, you look at what he represents, you look at what he says. And what they want to do is take it out of context. What I'm saying is, going forward, be unabashedly progressive. Unabashedly progressive. Discard the fear of going out and saying what you mean, because the people are with you. The progressive policies are the policies Americans want. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the first video. I want to get started with, in fact, the Mandami issue. Oh, come on, don't corrupt my feed. Don't do that. All right, I'll just leave it. Let's put it back where it belongs, right there. Put you over here. I want Mandami to go first, so we'll do that. Let's get ready to listen to some analysis, because I want you to hear what Anand Hidadas had to say. This is very, very important. Mandami in New York had a humongous, humiliating for the incumbent victor, not the incumbent, but the establishment victory in New York. And now everybody's questioning, can that message really resonate? Can we take that message all over? I want you to listen to what Anand Hidadas' response was. And then I want you to listen to the question that the host asked at the end. And I want to answer the question that she asked at the end. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
He's offering some great sounding policies, free healthcare, or free childcare. I would love free childcare. Free buses, also
you and me
great.
Both, Katie.
Oh, yeah, Ashley, yeah. Everybody would. Everybody wants things to be cheaper and better. They want their lives to not be a struggle, as you were saying a moment ago. But a lot of these ideas, are they easy to implement? I mean, you already have Governor Kathy Hochul saying she's not going to raise taxes. It's not going to happen. She's worried about people leaving the state. Is he going to be held to actually accomplishing these things that he's promised?
I mean, I think you have to start with what is possible. Katie, you and I are lucky to have traveled around the world, right? How many countries have you been to, Katie, where the things Zoran is proposing to be free are free? How many different places have you been where that is the case? So you and I may have traveled more than the average American. So we know that. We know as an empirical fact that somehow a bunch of countries less affluent than us have managed to make those things free. So I tend to not start political analysis with, like, what does Governor Kathy Hochul feel? I tend to start with what is possible, right? Everyone getting their own space shuttle is not possible because I don't see it happening anywhere. But universal childcare and like free buses, I see that happening in enough places that I don't necessarily think are more dynamic or more capable than the United States, that I think, yeah, that's probably doable. That's probably a matter of what we can be led to believe. And if you can go from 0% in the polls, which was Zoran's starting point, to winning the election, winning the primary election, yeah, I think you can get free buses done. It takes political will, it takes mobilizing people, and then it takes showing up on the doorstep of your obstructionists and saying, how about them apples of all these millions of people I have behind me? That's precisely why this kind of movement politics is important, and why, you don't want these figures of the past, whether it's Andrew Cuomo or Bill Clinton, his fellow accused sexual harassers, standing up for each other and trying to prevent change. Young people across this city and across this country are actually finding the courage to believe that they deserve nice things and could have them because they're not stupid and they see other people having them around the world and they want to be in on the idea of a nice life.
I hear you on that. And you're right.
That simple radical idea that won last night.
There are other people in other places who enjoy this. I mean, lots of countries in Europe enjoy this. Their taxes are a lot higher and their social safety net is a lot stronger and they have pensions. So the savings accounts of regular people aren't as big. They have free healthcare. It's all that stuff that goes into enabling a society like that to exist. It's kind of a wholesale rethinking of how we do things.
They also spend less money going to war.
They do spend less money going to war.
You can save a lot. You can save a lot without those B-2 bombers.
And I agree, but in order to get some of this stuff done, and don't get me wrong, I think everybody would want it, or a lot of people would want it. You're going to have to, I mean, these are policies that are difficult to pass in the current configuration for a reason. And Ashley, if Democrats are looking at what happened here in New York City, how much of it is feasible to take around the country and to use as a message for both the midterms and then for the presidential election?
The question at the end, yes, there's a reason why this hasn't worked in America, why these things haven't been able to put forth while in Scandinavia, while in Europe they've been able to do. And the reason why is simple, because we have been consistently denied access to the real voices of the people. We have been unable to go out there and give the message. We have been unable to cut loose from the corporate mantra, from the Powell memo infiltration in all aspects of our lives. Loosen the chains of the mind, loosen the chains from the corporatocracy, loosen the chains from all these other areas, and watch how we can get to the people and start saying, demand what is yours, demand it. Because you know what? You know who is scared of you? Those up top. That's why they spend so much to misinform you, because they are scared that if you start to think critically, you ask the question, why is it that a rich country can't afford to take care of its own, while the countries that are not as rich can do such a marvelous job of doing that? Folks, we got to wake up. Let's do it now.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to...
Yes, we've got to wake up and we got to do it now. We've got to wake up and we've got to do it now. Let me go see what else we got out here. See the Canadian boycott. That's what Reverend Carlton says. In the house, Susan Chigoda, Peter, Rev Carlton, America, lies. So much so I agree. Let's see. Ann Keller, welcome. Just joined. Let's see what we got here in the chat from any responses. Anthony Franco from Laguna Beach. Welcome, Anthony Franco. Michael points out that the Intifada, civilian uprising against oppression, the resistance just said in another language. You know, again, that is a problem with when you have a population that doesn't do a lot of reading and thinking. You have to explain everything. And sometimes a lot of what progressives have a tendency to do is just not explain. We have to do the work. It's unfair, but we have got to do the work. Now, there's something that I want to point out that I didn't put in the post log that I needed to have said. When the host said, well, you know, it costs more to they pay more taxes and they have lesser savings, etc. It is sort of misrepresentative, right? Because here is the thing, folks. While they may pay more taxes to get universal health care, what they forget is that if you are paying right now, you have to pay every month anywhere between $800 to $2,000 a month for health care. And then you have deductibles to meet that you have to pay for. And then you have co-pays that you have to pay for. Don't you think that is a tax? Don't you realize that costs you more than, let's just say, the government has a higher tax rate? Let's say instead you pay $5,000 more in taxes, as opposed to all these other co-pays and premiums and all of that. Again, we have to critically think. We have to get Americans thinking. We have to let them see that when they fool you about look how much tax you're going to have to pay. In reality, you're going to have more. They need to get off about how much more you're going to have to pay and talk about how much more you're going to have in your pocket and how you're going to have peace of mind, knowing that if you're sick, you don't have to say, I can't go check this out because there's a copay to pay, there's a deductible to pay. And what if it's something serious? I can't afford it. Child care. I can't go to work, or because I know I can't afford what childcare is going to cost, but your productivity in the economy is so much better if you get childcare. I mean, it's a different way of talking and thinking. And what Mamdani did in his social media campaign, he didn't have the budget that the billionaires gave to the other candidate. What he had was messages to teach in a manner that people could understand, and that's what we have to do. Progressives have to put the effort in. If the other side asks you a question, answer it. Well, the people in Scandinavia pay more taxes. No, they don't. You pay more taxes. How is that? What is your bill for your health care right now? I am paying $1,000 a month. Okay. Suppose the government charged you $750 more in taxes, a month more in taxes, and you never have to worry about paying another medical bill or whether you have. Wouldn't that mean you have more money in your pocket? Yeah. So why don't we do it? Because we have a plutocracy, an oligarchy, a capitalist society who's intent on making you dumb so that you can't see the reality of how these things work. And then you have the sycophants who, for some reason, even after these things are explained, they just come out and they try to find, is there not? I don't think so. I don't think so. Look. We just have to work with the people that are ready to listen. We have to work with the people that are ready to hear the truth, the people that really want progress, progressives. Carl Cox from Riverdale, Georgia said, yes to progressives, no to Democratic Party leadership. Absolutely. Michael Rudden says, Governor Hochul said, I don't want to lose any more people to Palm Beach. I'd say if the rich don't want to pay their fair share, they can go. We neither need them nor want them. And here's the thing, Michael. If they run off to Palm Beach, right? Guess what happened to all those rents that they are willing to pay those exorbitant prices for? The only reason an apartment in Manhattan costs what it costs is because there are people willing to pay that price. Let the rich folks get out of there and they won't be fighting for that space anymore. And guess what happens to the rents? It tanks. Supply and demand still works in a good in an economy. It still works. So you're right about that, Radin. C'est la vie. Go. All right, Anthony Lefranco, welcome aboard, brother, says, we have insight. Insight refeats indifference. Indifference enabled Trump to win. What we do is we have to go out there and be there. What Mamdani showed is presence is one of the most important things. Presence. Don't take people for granted, but presence. All right. Michael Ruddin says, Egberto, other countries value their citizens, ours not so much. And those are the narratives that we have to put out there. The corporatocracy cares nothing about you. Your government thus must care. The corporations are there to make money for their shareholders. Inculcate that into people's minds. And understand that the only one that is powerful enough to look out for you against the mega corporations is in fact your government. We the people. All right, we the people. All right, let's see. Michael Renner says, reading, thinking. I just Googled intifada, meaning anyone can do that. Exactly. But you know what? The idea is, we have taught folks not to think objectively. Anthony Franco, we have insight. Insight defeats. I read that one already, right? I read that one, but yeah, we have the tools. Let's do it. Absolutely. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see what else we got. Michael Rudden says the tax of single payer would cost less than the amount you already pay for your private health care, much less actually. Plus the copays, the deductibles, the premium increases, and you won't have to worry about healthcare denial of coverage when you actually need the insurance, unless you are in the top 1%. Pay your fair share. Yeah, of course. That is definitely, definitely. All right, Anthony LeFranco also says someone tell his campaign to create activities to build on his personality, diffuse the unfamiliar. Actually, who are we talking about, DeFranco? Lee Grant says Scandinavia produces high trust, orderly societies. We don't have that here. Here, everybody hates each other. I mean, no, that, look, the hate is ancillary. The hate is for us to keep the lousy healthcare that we have, for us to keep a capitalist system that extorts, a capitalist system that extracts. We have to create hate. Now, we the people can stop that. We the people can forego the manufactured hate. You know, think about somebody that you hate, and then you meet them in a coffee shop, and you realize, oh wow, you know, we have a lot in common after all, man. Wow, we have a lot in common. And you don't hate that much, or you go on a retreat and you don't know what somebody's political ideology is, and you find out, oh, damn, we kind of like the same things. Wow, interesting. The hate is manufactured, it's all in the Powell memo. It's designed, it's to hit your carnality. All right, let's read some from the from our chat here in the Substack. Reverend Carlton says, I shopped at Costco today and left several US made products on the shelf. Good for you. Katie Jagoda says, Katie is a liberal Republican. I think Katie, she's supposedly like her husband, a progressive, but I don't know. Reverend Carlton says universal healthcare is so hard, only 19 of the 20 economies have figured out how to do it. Reverend Carlton, that's a good one, brother. That's a good one. For a better world, says Mandami's victory is great news, but a question: how will city-owned grocery stores affect small businesses and bodega owners? Again, the idea is food deserts, right? The thing about it is this: if a lot of these little bodegas that prey on people by just giving them the little crap, as soon as you put some a grocery store that have fresh vegetables and etc., what do you think these guys are going to do? If people start to buy the fresh vegetables, they'll have it. It won't be a food desert. You see, it's easy to sell these packaged products, right? But these companies as well could go ahead and bring these other products in. I tell you what I think Mamdami could do is have things like, okay, we'll sell, we will buy, the city may buy in bulk to supply the bodega, so that their bulk buying would equal similar to what Walmart bulk buying is, and then they can sell it at that price to the bodega. There are a lot of ways to look at that, so that you don't destroy the essence of the city. In other words, a lot of people love the bodegas and all of that, but the bodegas can't afford to buy 10 heads of lettuce and sell at an acceptable price. There's a whole lot of stuff like that that could be worked out. The idea is not to have all the answers now. The idea is to go ahead and create the framework and make the answers work. All right, let's see. Reverend Carlton says the left wing would enable the American eagle to move forward. Two right wings make for a death spiral and dysfunctional. Right now, we have two right wings. I get what you're saying. Exactly. A better world, so Alex Jones and Steve Bannon provoked, manufactured in enormous amounts of fear and hate. Very true. Welcome aboard, Peggy LeMahieu and Franklin Phillips. All right. Let's see. Antonio Lefranco says someone tell his campaign to create activities to build his personality, diffuse the unfamiliar. Not sure what that means. I think I read that before. The Paul Fleming says, I love that RFK Jr. is like, geez, this is crazy. How did you know that? That sounds bad. And Reebok is like, yeah, and your agency is gonna give them to. I don't know what that is all about, but for some reason, you're gonna have to explain a little bit more to me on that one. Lita Verka says government-owned grocery and getting rid of police. Whoa, that is eye-opening. Now, if that is a message you got, that just shows that you are wearing colored glasses in order to vote against your own interests. And people do that all the time. Republicans do that. That's the only reason they can vote Republican. They have to convince themselves of a lie. And after they convince themselves of a lie, that gives them the ability to vote against their own interests, because the lie that they're telling themselves would actually be worse than the lie they're voting for. All right, let's go ahead and get to the second video. Let's go ahead and talk about, we have two things about the big bad bill. And, like I said, we are not going to take our eyes off of the ball. We are going to keep our eyes on the ball. So here we go with another one on the big bad bill. Elizabeth Warren nailed it. She nailed it. Republicans have a new, not a real method. They're continuing with their method. Simply lie. Their professor in chief, their thug in chief, taught them well. Lie enough, and many Americans, your MAGA folks, will believe you. Your a lot of your low information people will believe you, and just maybe you can survive the lie, even as we are going to screw them to kingdom come. But the people are waking up. Americans are realizing that the big bad bill, formerly known as one big beautiful bill from Donald Trump, is really going to screw them, and screw them hard. The thing about it is, will they listen? Well, Mitch McConnell think that, they'll get over it. Let's listen to this from Elizabeth Warren, and then we'll take it on the other side.
We talked about Speaker Mike Johnson looking into a television camera today and saying there were no Medicaid cuts. God, is this going to be their party line? Yeah. Do they think people?
Yes, the party line is to lie. And here is our super secret strategy as Democrats. We're out there trying to tell the truth about what is in this bill. Because when people hear about the bill, when they understand what this bill is about, by about 2-1, they say that is a really terrible idea. And that's not just Democrats. That's independents. That's Republicans. People don't like this. So here is a bill that will take away health care from 16 million Americans. It will close community hospitals and community health centers all around the country. It will cause nursing homes to close when seniors who rely on that Medicaid to pay for their being able to be in those nursing homes, when that goes away. Your neighbor who relies on a wheelchair, who has a home health aide, as they make the cuts, slash the cuts, people all across this country are calling their senators and their Republican senators saying, vote against that bill. So today, at least the secondhand information is a lot of Republicans stood up at that caucus lunch and said, this is bad. This is bad. And Mitch McConnell told everybody to calm down. Yeah, people don't like this. It's terrible. They're going to lose their health care. But don't worry, they'll get over it. They'll get over it. They'll get over losing their health care. They'll get over the fact that 51,000 people will die from these cuts unnecessarily, people who would have survived. So they're just saying, don't worry. They'll get over that their grandma was pushed out of a nursing home. They'll get over the fact that their neighbor lost his wheelchair and now has to be in an institution. They'll get over the fact that that little baby was born with complex medical needs and has $1 million worth of medical bills before she even makes it home, and it bankrupts the family. Don't worry, they'll get over it. And they will not get over it.
No.
The people who are injured by the Republican bill will not get over it. And what they really won't get over is that all of those cuts, taking away that health care from babies and old people, people with disabilities, is so that the billionaires who sat in the front row at Donald Trump's inauguration and contributed to him, so that they can have a bunch of tax giveaways, so that Jeff Bezos can buy a third yacht and buy Venice in order to run a $10 million wedding. this is not who we are as a people. We are better than this. And I think what the Republicans are hearing is from people all across this country, Democrats and Republicans, who are calling in and saying, vote no, stop that bill, stop that bill. It hasn't become law yet, and we really have a chance to stop them dead in their tracks.
So let's be clear, folks. You at some point in time, your gullibility must end. Remember, Latinos por Trump, we're told. No worry, even if you're undocumented, you'll be okay because we're just going after the criminals. So your cousins who are citizens, it's okay to vote for Trump because remember, you don't want to vote for that woman. So vote for Trump. It's okay. Even as he talks about deporting, he's just going to do criminals. And I promise you, you are going to be okay. So tell your aunt, tell your sons, tell them it's okay to vote for Trump. We got to vote for Trump. And what was the turnaround? He's deporting, he's manhandling, he's racially profiling what a Latino should look like. And whether you're an American citizen or not, he's getting rid of you. What do you think he's going to do about Medicaid? He's telling all you folks out there, no, we're not cutting Medicaid. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, looks you in the eye through the camera and he tells you, we are not cutting Medicaid. And Mitch McConnell says, yes, we are cutting Medicaid, but the people will get over it. So when they're together, they admit they're cutting Medicaid. Tom Tillis, the senator from North Carolina, says this is going to be our Obamacare. This is where we are going to lose anything. Do you think Donald Trump cares? Of course not. He's out of office after this term, we think. He's out of office. And many others, they'll just go ahead and do the vote. And when they get beat in the midterms, they'll just go and work for a lobbying firm and you get screwed. What you got to do is you have to get those few Republicans that really believe in governing but are scared of Donald Trump. You have to give them the spine. My Republican brothers and sisters, you have to give them the spine to stand up for what's good for America. Because if this bill passes, we all know what the results are going to be. We all know that many of your mothers, your fathers, your brothers, your sisters, they're going to be kicked out of that nursing home. Your disabled friend is going to be kicked out of that wheelchair or not able to get that prosthesis that they need. Because again, they're coming after the money that we have all saved for you via our Medicaid taxes and passing it all on to the billionaires. This isn't conjecture, folks. Tom Tillis himself, a good Republican that attempted to just be as MAGA as he needed to be to survive, came out with this chart that pointed out, yes, in fact, there are cuts to Medicaid. Yes, in fact, it will screw some of the least of us. Folks, you've been warned. Latinos, you were warned. You believed. Now you're being screwed. Now, again, your families are sent back. Your wives are sent back. Those of you dependent on Medicaid, you've been warned. The question is, will you ensure that you're not screwed, not only on Medicaid, but on taxes, not screwed, not only on taxes and Medicaid, but on much, much more. Folks, we are talking about the destruction of this healthcare system as we know it and an intense suffering yet to have been seen in this country. Absolutely. So there are a few things that I want to add to that, to this whole discussion that we're having so far. We have to change the narrative about free stuff. Because that is how, I work hard, you work hard, many of us work hard. And whenever we hear about, Mandani wants to give free stuff, he's a socialist. They don't want to say democratic socialist. He's a socialist. You want to give free stuff. Nobody is asking we should not call it free stuff. We should call it public stuff. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Medicaid, or let's forget about Medicaid for now. Medicare and all these programs are not something that we just have a whole bunch of rich people put in money in their coffers, and a lot of people sitting back getting free stuff. We all, and the problem is many people don't know this. We all, when you look at your check stub, there's not only FICA, there's also a Medicare tax, a 3% Medicare tax. If you work for yourself, you pay 12 point something percent in FICA and 3 point something percent in Medicare tax. If you work for somebody else, your employer pays half, you pay the other half. Folks, it is important to understand. Don't let them con you into believing this is free stuff. We all pay for it in many different forms. Let's talk about the different forms in which we pay for it. We have allowed them to define these things as Democrats or progressives or these folks want free stuff. We allow them to define what income is. We allow them to define what work is. We allow them to define how much work, what one is paid for work. Let's give an example. All right, all of us pay 3% in Medicare taxes, so we're not getting free stuff. We pay Social Security taxes, we're not getting free stuff. We pay sales taxes, we're not getting free stuff. We breathe the air that actually gets us sick, that enriches the wealthy, the owners of the stock owners of these corporations. They allow stuff in the air that we breathe and get sick, and we pay the health care to get better. The externalities that come from other companies. Don't fall for the free stuff. Your existence in America, existing in America, buying stuff in America, riding your bike, riding your car, driving in America is enriching somebody. And you are playing your part in this economy. Do not allow the free stuff narrative to take. Well, it's already taken hold. We have to dispel the free stuff narrative. That teacher, and the reason I'm bringing up the teacher, Ms. Campisi, in here, and any other person that is a teacher here, your underpayment in the salaries you receive relative to the overpayment a stockbroker gets. The differential in that payment is unwarranted and undeserved and unworked for, unearned. I repeat, what a stockbroker gets from moving pieces of paper, millions of dollars, compared to the teacher who is moving knowledge forward, creates a differential in income. Let's say $70,000 versus $10 million, right? That $70,000 teacher pays her entire 7 point something percent in Social Security. That person getting $10 million only pays 140 of that, less than $200,000 of that 12% goes into Social Security. Unfair. So when you say tax the rich, you bet your damn life you tax the rich, because again, the differentials in income is not commensurate with the work being done. So that's why we tax the rich, not because we want to take their money. It was never their money. It is an anachronism within the capitalist system that allows the unworthy to get most of our monies, period. Look, when we understand the evil within the current economic system, we start not worrying too much about taxing the rich. You know, I have friends in corporate America, and by the way, I once had, before I started doing this over 12, 15 years ago, I once had money. My company was very successful. I felt sick. Money doesn't make you happy. Just earning your money, earning is what makes you happy. Knowing that you have value is what makes you happy. Why do you think billionaires have to constantly get more? Their worth comes from getting more. They can't spend the money that they have. They cannot spend the money that they have, but they don't have happiness. They don't have freedom from within. That's why they have to keep screwing you, because they have to have something that makes something believe that they matter. The best thing comes there. It seems like we had a little glitch. It seems to have come back. I don't know what caused it. Anyhow, we had a glitch. Who knows? Maybe Elon Musk doesn't like what I'm talking about. Let's see if it comes back. I think it should be coming back in a minute. Elon Musk must be upset. All right. Before I continue with my soliloquy, can everybody still see me? I hope at least you can hear. Let me see. Bear with me, guys. Let me make sure. Let me go to another phone and make sure that that the baby is still chirping, because for some reason we got a little glitch in our system. It looks like Egberto is still valid. Yeah. So it looks like we're still valid. It looks like we're still going. All right. So here's the deal, folks. I don't know how much you've missed. I don't know. Oops, come on, be quiet. I just did the phone. I don't know how much you've missed, but again, whatever the case is, the podcast that I process will come through in a minute. All right. So folks, bottom line is nothing is free. And progressives are not asking for anything that is free. We're just saying that we have an economic system that does not reward people commensurate with the value that they have to society. And as such, the only normalization method that you have, the only way to solve that problem is, in fact, yes, tax the rich. Tax the rich. Because they're the ones that are taking the most resources, and they're the ones who are least deserving in the aggregate. All right, I got a couple more videos to do. Let's see, I got the time. Yeah, let's go ahead and do the Lawrence O'Donnell video. I hope we don't crash in the process. We'll see. When a senator takes the time to hand out a document showing that the bill, the big, beautiful bill, when a Republican senator, it's going to screw their own, you know that the bill is bad. And you know also he's doing it for cover. In other words, you don't go out there and put out something that you know is going to leak to say this came from Thom Tillis and he's telling us not to do it. The big, bad, ugly bill is going to harm us, and we are going to continue to talk about it. We won't allow distractions up and until the last vote is cast. And if that bill passes, we will ensure that we continue to speak about it to let Americans know what's happening and who is the culprit, who is the one responsible for the dire straits they'll be feeling from the bill. But check out this little segment from Lawrence O'Donnell that makes it clear. I think with Klobuchar, you're going to get the whole thing.
NBC News reports Republican Senator Thom Tillis of North Carolina, who is up for re-election next year, circulated a document to Senate Republicans last night in their closed-door meeting outlining how the Medicaid provisions in Donald Trump's budget bill will hurt Republican states. Tillis also warned his party during the meeting that they will lose the 2026 midterm elections if they push ahead on proposed Medicaid cuts. He compared the situation to the heavy losses Democrats suffered in the 2014 midterms after a rocky Obamacare rollout, according to one source in the room. Republican Senator Joshua Hawley of Missouri told NBC News today, "I don't think they've got 51 right now. The rural hospital issue is the big issue right now. I think it's a big issue on the House side." Joining us now is Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota. She serves on the Senate Commerce Committee and the Judiciary Committee. Senator, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Is Senator Hawley right? Is the rural hospital issue the thing that is really tripping up the Republicans? And what does it mean for the rural hospitals of Minnesota?
Huge. 300 hospitals nationally will close down because of this bill for two reasons. One, the Medicaid cuts. I'm not surprised that you have senators speaking out about that because 16 million people are going to lose their health care because of this proposal. Secondly, Medicare. The debt is so big from this bill, $3.4 trillion, $1 trillion of it in higher interest. Why? Because because it adds to the debt. 3.4 trillion in 10 years. That actually triggers automatic Medicare cuts to the tune of $500 billion. All of this adds to huge problems to rural hospitals that are already thinly holding on. And there are so many red states that are going to be affected by this. 4 million people are going to be tossed off of food assistance, many of them in rural areas. And then, of course, you have the debt issue. So the way I look at this, Lawrence, you've got people that are rightfully saying this is immoral to do these Medicaid cuts, but they appear to be proceeding along as if it doesn't matter. You have people that are concerned about the debt that could be solved by just cutting off these tax cuts for people making over 400,000. That would save $2 trillion. And then my favorite, Lawrence, the oops caucus. The House members that say, oops, I didn't really read the bill when I voted for it, the Republican House members. I don't know what to do now. So it's a mess, but the biggest thing is it's a mess for the American people.
There's reporting from that meeting, the Republican meeting last night, that Punchbowl has, quoting Senator Mitch McConnell, saying the kind of thing that I always kind of guessed that he might say when the door is closed and it's just Republicans. He said, I know a lot of us are hearing from people back home about Medicaid, but they'll get over it. Senator Klobuchar, when they're trying to round up your vote and they're trying to tell you that Minnesota voters will just get over whatever the thing is that you've got a problem with, I've never known that to be a way to close the deal.
This sounds eerily like people are going to die anyway. The point is that we should be treating the people of this country who have worked their whole lives for a living with dignity. We should be treating our seniors with dignity, and we should not be giving a whole bunch of tax cuts to the wealthiest on the backs of working people. That's exactly what this bill is about. They could fix it. They could start over. But instead, we are where we are, and they're claiming they're going to go forward with it now. I believe they should start over.
As you go forward with this process, Democrats will be trying to advance amendments on the Senate floor when it starts to move. What are you expecting to be able to highlight through that amendment process?
Well, I think the first is the obvious, these health care cuts and these idea that you would toss people off their health care when they're just trying to hang on right now. Medicaid and also the Medicare cuts. The second, I mentioned the food assistance, the fact that you are, for this reasons that justify reality, the parliamentarian actually ruled that a number of these things were not even right under the Senate rules. And that's something that I've been pushing from the Agriculture Committee standpoint. And then you're going to have this issue of the debt and the idea that they're adding so greatly to the debt, overwhelmingly to help wealthy people. And the interesting thing is, Lawrence, we've been united on this, Democrats, 60% of the people in this country in a Fox poll. Let me say that again, a Fox poll, which Donald Trump greatly criticized and made fun of Fox, but it was an actual poll. They said that 60% of people didn't like this bill. They think it helps the wealthiest. A very small percentage say, oh, maybe it'll help me. But the vast majority of Americans have figured it out. And they say it'll help the wealthy, which it will.
Can one be any clearer? 60% of Americans we know for sure hate the bill, and they do understand that it's a transfer of their wealth to the top. Also, the election that recently occurred in New York should actually point out something to people, and that is what was taboo before because of what the oligarchy did to convince many that that their way was the right way. People are starting to wake up. People are starting to see that it is time that we start looking for policies that aid the average American citizen and not the oligarchy. Now, the New York Times and all these other newspapers and the rank and file establishment Democrats are going to be up in arms in trying to keep some sort of a false middle. Folks, it is time. It is actually definitely time. But here's the deal, folks. I have another video, but it is too long to play in the amount of time that is left. So I can take calls for the next 4 or 5 minutes. So give me a call. It is 281-823-7747. I'm going to put it in the chat. It is 281-823-7747. I got too many numbers to Remember, got too many numbers to remember. So if you want to give me a call and you want to say something to the audience at large, this is your time. I place a telephone number in both chats. 281-823-7747, 281-823-7747. Look, folks, like I said before, and before, it is up to us. We can't allow them to keep talking the narrative. And that's the reason, personally, that's the reason I am doing what we're doing here, because we just can't keep this way. I have a daughter. I want to make sure my daughter has a better life. I want a better world for my daughter. Absolutely so. And you should want one for your kids. Those of you with kids, those of you that are kids, let's make a better world, one that actually, where people can actually progress. It is so important. It doesn't have to be this way. When I came to this country was was growing to be that bastion on the hill. That's how we saw it. We saw something that, yes, we know it wasn't perfect. Yes, we knew it had a lot of problems. But the one thing we also knew is that you could make progress. Then came El Senor Ronald Reagan, and he expanded on neoliberalism. And then came all the others that continue to expand on neoliberalism, something that has been a complete failure. You can look at all the buildings and the skyscrapers and talk about all the roads that are built. Most of the people that build these skyscrapers, most of the people that build all this infrastructure, after they built it, it is something they can't even use. Think about that. It is something they can't even use. Most people produce things they can't buy, things they can't use because of the way the system is skewed for so many. Folks, let me tell you, this isn't about free stuff. This isn't about any of this stuff. Uh, None of these things are the fault. Unlike what some would say, oh, it's because of what the left. No, 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 no. This country has never ever been really run by a real left ideology. Never ever been run. The best we've gotten is JF. The best we've gotten is um, Roosevelt, right? And y'all, some of you may laugh at this. The closest we came to having some sort of progressive policies have been Roosevelt and Biden. Amazing that I even said Biden. But next to Roosevelt and Biden, as far as the policies are concerned, maybe I could probably stick Johnson in there to some extent, a little bit. But again, when it comes to spending on to things that progressive want us spending on, that makes a difference in people's lives, that brings people out of poverty, something that we never touted as we should. Uh, Biden, during his administration, proved categorically that government can can do something about poverty. Under Biden, poverty for kids dropped 50%. As soon as Republicans took office again, the poverty rate zoomed right back up. FDR proved taxing the rich makes America great. Exactly, Anthony Franco. Exactly, Anthony Franco. Welcome aboard, Amy Calais, John Blanquist, Susan Couch, Wendy Bouchier. Thank you as well, my dear, for being here. All right, we're coming out of time, close to the end of the program. So what I want to do is my regular end of the program ask. I want to ask all of you who have the wherewithal to do so to please support the program. On your support ensures that I can get some support from others to help with the extensive amount of work that it takes to keep all of this going. This is a one-person operation that gets a whole lot done. Not only the shows that you see, but the pre-show, post-show, the videos, the TikToks, the Instagram, the articles, everything. I ask kindly, the way to support us to do all of this is to become paid subscribers of our newsletter. And how can you become a paid subscriber of our newsletter? Go to politicsandright.com/newsletter, and I'm putting it into the newsletter. And again, you can see all, if you really want to see the depths of what we do, right? You can go to, I think it is, what is politicsandright.com. What is it? Maybe it's like better. Sometimes I forget where all the links that we have. Maybe I have it in the link stuff here somewhere. if you want to see the breadth of the different platforms that we are supporting, bear with me as I find that link for you. I may have to go ahead and look it up myself because, again, you know how that goes. Sometimes you're looking for stuff and you can't find it. All right, let's do it this way. I think it is politicsdoneright.com/links. I'm going to do that in a minute. But I want you guys to see what we do here and see all the different platforms that we support. Because many a times people, you watch a show and you think, all he's doing is the show, etc. We're doing a lot more than just the show because we're trying to get the information out as vast as possible. As vast as possible. Let me see if this is the right link to give you guys. Part of it. Yep, that's the right link. What's wrong with you, Egberto? Sometimes you forget your own stuff. There's so much that we do, we forget it. All right, let's go ahead and let me go ahead and put that there. This is the link that shows you all the different platforms that we're on, folks. That we move our data to, the places that we write articles, etc. If you want to find out all the different areas that we are. So I ask you kindly to become a paid subscriber of our newsletter by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. And I'll repeat that again, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. You will be doing a good thing to ensure that our message is vast and broad, and you will be a part of what we call the PDR posse. If you want to also know what else you get there, let me go ahead and get to that. I'm getting old. You can also find out all the benefits that you get, and I'm going to put the about in there. This is the about that tells you all you get from becoming a paid subscriber. There is about. Check out that link as well. Anyway, it is 4 o'clock and I got to clock out of here. Look, if you want to email me directly, email me at info@politicsdoneright.com. info@politicsdoneright.com. I love you all. Gotta go. Gotta process a whole lot more videos. Gotta go. But my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I'm going to close out this baby. I am what? Out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.